Hi everyone, a really popular song at the moment for students to learn and for teachers to teach is called Dance Monkey. It's actually by an Australian band, which is really, really cool, called Chords and I, and it is rocketed up the charts around the world. It is incredibly catchy. The thing I love about it as something to teach students, or if you're a student, something easy to learn, is that it uses only 4 chords. And so let me show you how to play it now and what those 4 chords are. So, as we know, most pop songs tend to only use a few chords. This one literally uses 4 chords. It doesn't actually deviate from that at all, which is pretty amazing. So the first chord you need is this one here. It's F sharp minor, F sharp, A, and C sharp. And I use 1, 3, and 5 for that. F sharp minor is your first chord. Second chord is D major. And I like students to know about the shapes of chords too. Interestingly enough, F sharp minor goes black, white, black. D major, we're moving into a new position. White, black, white. D, F sharp, A, D major. Now if you just grab that entire shape and move it up 1 note, you're going to have the chord E major, which is your 3rd chord in the progression. And then finally, we're going to go down to C sharp minor. It's the same shape as F sharp minor. C sharp, E, and G sharp. This chord here. So if we write out the progression, we've got F sharp minor, D major, E major, and C sharp minor. So that's our progression, and the key of this is F sharp minor. So let's play through it. We've got F sharp minor, D, E, and C sharp minor. That's it. That is the whole premise of the song. Interestingly enough too, the melody really only uses the first 5 notes of an F minor scale. These ones here. And it just goes to show how catchy you can make a song with only 4 chords. Now, at the original version of this song, it starts up here, and we've got this, it's almost like a 50s kind of sound, just repeated chords, triads in root position, up high on the piano. So you get this, and you do them 8 times each. And then it moves down the piano and kind of stays around this kind of area. Always 4 beats with 8 quavers. It's got a really funky bass line. It's got a great little beat behind it, but that is the nature of the song. Now, as a learning process for students, I think this is really interesting because this is in F minor, and if you've ever done chordal analysis, you tend to use small Roman numerals for minor chords. So, in the key of F minor, this is chord 1, D would be chord 6, and it's a major chord, E would be chord 7, and the C sharp minor is the 5 chord, which is actually a minor again. Now, this is actually a fairly unusual chord progression for a pop song. What is more expected when you start with these first 2 chords is this. Tell me if you've heard this before. Still used today in a lot of music, but was hugely popular in the 90s. Now, interestingly enough, that starts with the same 2 chords. But the key area is actually A major for this one. And it starts with the 6 chord, goes to the 4 chord, it goes to the 1 chord, and then the 5 chord. Sorry, the 6 should be a minor chord in this case. So we got the 6, the 4, there's the 1, that's the tonic of this chord progression, and then the 5 chord. That was a little suspension out of there. But this one breaks that cycle. It starts with the same 2 chords, and you think it might go that way, but it doesn't. It moves up to here and then down to the C sharp minor, which adds a new flavor to it. And interestingly enough, as I was exploring this one, and you could do this with your students, or if you're a student watching, what if we kind of continue this progression down the piano? We could go to D, we could go to B minor, and C sharp, and then back to F minor. And we've got kind of an 8-bar progression. This is D and B minor, C sharp minor, and F sharp minor. Now, it completely changes the flavor of this song, and it doesn't work with Dance Monkey, Cheeky Monkey. But I thought that was an interesting exploration to do with students. Like, where else could we go with this chord progression? Could we continue it up or down the piano? What sounds might work if we were to continue it in our own way. So I thought that was an interesting thing to look at, but really for students, I would be working on getting them comfortable with the key of F sharp minor. It's a little bit unusual for a lot of students. And as you're teaching this, let me just give you a couple of points quickly about shapes. For students to become really competent at chords on piano, they need to recognize the shapes that they're playing. Now, most students will be able to recognize that a C major chord and an F and a G chord all have the same pattern arrangement of black and white notes. White, white, white. What I like to do with students is then say, well, you know your A minor chord, because that's one we learned quite early on. What two other minor chords are white, white, white? And most of them can work out after a little while that D minor and E minor are all white, white, white. So we've got 3 major chords and 3 minor chords that all have the same shape, white, white, white. If we extend that and take D major, we've got the shape white, black, white. What other chords have that same shape? Well, E major does, and A major does as well. And in the same way, you could take the shape of F sharp minor, black, white, black, and try and find other minor and major chords that use that same shape. And this is a really good skill for students to be able to learn what chords feel like to play and how similar chords, how different chords have similar shapes. But there's only set numbers. And then of course you've got B minor and B major and B flat major and B flat minor, which are our kind of anomalies with, they're like our black sheeps with the black, black, white or white, white, black pattern. So there you go. Hope that was useful for you. Go and have fun with it yourself, or if you're a teacher out there, if you haven't been asked to play it yet, then say to your students, hey, have you heard that song Dance Monkey? And they'll probably be like, yeah. Go and teach them the chords, because as I've shown you, 4 chords, whole song, they can play along to it. As long as they can actually get into the keys and play these triads, which aren't too hard to play once you've got your head around them, then they will have heaps of fun with this song. Now, if you're listening to this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I should have said this up front, and you don't know the Dance Monkey song, just jump on YouTube, you'll find it. It's got millions and millions of views, and I warn you though, it will get stuck in your head pretty badly. My whole family has been singing it all weekend after hearing me play it. So there you go. Hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions, pop a comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Just before you go, guys, I want to make sure you're aware of Piano Pivot Live. It's my first ever Piano Teachers Conference, and it's being held 23rd and 24th of January right here in my hometown of Melbourne. Beautiful weather in summer, of course. If you want to find out more about it, head to timtopham.com/conference. It's going to be an incredible experience, and I can't wait to welcome you to Melbourne. See you then.